You have probably heard of Chromium. Chromium is the open source browser engine that Google maintains and makes publicly available. Chrome is built on it, so is Microsoft Edge, Arc, name a browser. It's probably built off Chromium. Every one of those browsers has a different interface, different features, different philosophy, different overlays, layouts, what have you. Different security features. As a whole other video. But underneath, it's pretty much the same engine. For example, if you know how to open up the developer tools in Chrome, you probably know how to open up the developer tools in Microsoft Edge, even if you've never really done it before. If you know how to do something in this base system, using any of the other tools is going to make a lot of sense. It's going to be easy, and it's not going to require a lot of learning on your part. VS Code is the open source foundation made by Microsoft, which is the free, most widely available code editor ever. It's available on Windows, Linux, Mac, everything. Cursor is built directly on top of that. So if you imagine Chromium base and we're going to add your Arc beautification to it, that's VS Code with the cursor on top. What we're going to do is download VS Code from scratch. We're going to open it up, talk about some pieces of it, how it all comes together, why we like having all of these pieces available to us in the same tool, and most importantly, we'll show you that it is just built from VS Code. It's the same exact commands, except now you're not locked into any sort of Microsoft-only products. And most importantly, you're able to actually use your own context, keep your own files, and play with different large language models along the way without buying them all. So let's get started. Let's do this. Okay, was that enough? VS Code is available to download at code.visualcodestudio.com. I have a Mac. That's what we're going to be using today as the example. Because this is a free open source software, there is a ton of docs, like just everything you could possibly want to know about. There's documentation about it. There are great new features as of recently, which is, again, why I really think everybody should be using an IDE, not just if you are a coder. So you've downloaded VS Code. Here it is. We have it opened up. Now, what are all of the features of it? We want to name everything we're looking at because this is the exact structure, almost the exact structure of Cursor. This is the welcome page that will show up. You can get rid of it if you want. What you can do is you can open a file onto your studio. So this is your studio to play with. So I'm going to open up my brain. So I have one folder that kind of holds all of my business notes, content, meetings, documents, etc. And sometimes it'll do that. It'll give you, oh, I see that this could be helpful for you. Do you want me to install this? Yeah, go for it. I don't need that right now, though. So as you, on the very far left, we have what is called the activity bar. So this is area 1. Area 1 is this activity bar. We have settings. This means the Explorer, search, source control. If you don't know what source control is yet, you will in a couple of weeks. We'll get into it. Also very helpful when you are dealing with a lot of contexts at a lot of times, and especially if you are using AI agents because they can sometimes delete stuff for fun. But having everything source controlled only simply means you can go back and fix it, return things to how they were. There's a run and debug panel, and then there's also extensions. So extensions can be anything from plugins to themes to compilers to MCP servers. There's a lot to do with extensions. For right now, I would recommend just looking up some different color themes. You can just search color themes or I guess code themes. Not really. It's usually best if you search for them individually. I'll include some links to some cool different examples of different themes that you can do. But having a theme is honestly the easiest way to make Visual Studio Code usable. So, our activity bar. So we have this activity bar, and then next up, this next panel is just our File Explorer sidebar. This is going to hold our actual folders. Again, just to have in one place so you can easily be like, hey, add this file to the chat. I want to talk about this specifically. That's one of my favorite things to do. You can see here, source control is also in this timeline as well for local edits, which is also very helpful if you're like, oh no, I didn't want to delete that paragraph, but it was like an hour ago, and you're like, oh wait, you can find it and return it, and it's fine. So now we have this next panel here that we're also in. This is just your editor. So markdown files are just big text, not smaller text files than a Microsoft document, for example, but it also allows you to have edits or like, it also allows you to have, for example, it's going to let us actually deal with the files that are in our file folders. So I like to work in Markdown. I recommend everybody work in Markdown. Markdown is going to be our future. It's actually really easy to use. It's very fun to use once you get used to it. And it also just helps you remove a lot of the perfectionism if you're really into formatting. If you are it needs to look 100% perfect 100% of the time, I think you should use Markdown and just see what happens. Using Markdown regularly has honestly saved my anxiety by so much with my perfectionism and has taught me a lot. Everything that you can learn about yourself, you can learn about yourself through tech in so many ways, and I hate it. But because we're using Markdown and these IDEs are familiar with how to present Markdown and other languages as well, they also have given us this awesome preview option, which is the same in Cursor too. But it allows you to literally just look at your notes in real time as you're doing them, right here with me. So underneath the Explorer, or the editor, underneath the editor, we can also show the terminal. So using Control backtick, you can open and close. You can see it's giving us instructions here with Copilot, which is interesting. I just don't want to show that again. I mean, that's fine. And so that is the terminal. Now, if you're not familiar with the terminal, that's okay. I just want you to know that it lives here too. That's all I want you to know right now. And that it just lives there. You can access it from here. Because this is a code editor, it can be really helpful in the future. Or if you are having actual computer problems, you can actually talk with the chat agent and you have your terminal right there and available to you for you to look at your notes and copy. Panel over here, we're going to talk about it in a minute. The last thing I'm going to go over is going to be the command palette. So the command palette is going to be your artist palette of VS Code. Everything that you could possibly want to do with an extension you installed, with VS Code, with any setting, anything you're going to put into the command palette. That's your command palette. And now this is where you can change your color theme, for example. You could say color theme. Okay, I could browse color themes in the marketplace. I could generate a current color theme with my current settings. I can just click on that. I can change the color. I can make it look like something that I actually want to use. Maybe dark theme isn't my gig. I can go Command Shift P again, and then I could install this Dracula theme that I installed. So this is the extension that I installed. So that is your command palette. So if anything in instructions telling you to start a SSH server, for example, you start everything in your command palette. Your command palette is your art palette of VS Code. And this bar up here, it is more just your search for your current file folder instead of that big command palette. So you can think of that more as the current paints that are on your palette versus calling the full palette to put whatever you want on it. Okay, now we're going to make VS Code ours. One of my favorite ways to do this is simply just to update the font and the color theme. It's so easy. If I am working in a project for work, for example, I love using my work color palette. So this is Cursor. We also have the command palette here, Command Shift P. I can change the color theme. So this is that Dracula soft theme from before. But I actually have my own theme, Python as Programmer. And then that's just my colors, right? It just helps me stay in that mode. So whatever colors work for you, you can update. And I also have a whole blog post about the fonts as well. So definitely check that out. It's very easy to do. You can just do command palette, open, what is it? User settings, JSON. And so you can see here I have a custom color theme. I have custom fonts somewhere. Markdown. Yeah, here. Terminal integrated font family, editor font family. I use Code monospace in the terminal, which is down here. And that's just because Open Dyslexic isn't super great in the terminal. So you can play with that a little bit and see what works. The idea is just creating a really simple, comfortable space for you, your ideas. And when I'm using a Cursor in particular here, it's honestly the best because I have a whole bunch of different models I can use. For example, here I can add files directly to the agent, and I can say I'm working on this YouTube project, blah blah blah. I want to do X, Y, and Z. But you can also go a step further and you can create rules for your cursor agents. You can create other things, skills, commands. There's a whole bunch of different additional pieces you can add on to your context when you start working in a file structure. So you just learned the 5 basic areas of VS Code. We have the activity bar, explore bar, editor bar, chat section. We have a terminal and a control panel. Cursor has all of that. Codex has all of that. Every single IDE that you use in the future is likely going to have all of that because it's going to be built off of VS Code. So with your basic outline of what VS Code is, now you can go to cursor.com, download Cursor, open it. You're going to notice the activity bar moves, so it's all in one panel with your files. I got a little bit better personally. Your agent is over here. And you can also, once you are in this more comfortable place with your files and your file folders, is you can actually just start straight from your agent mode like this. And so again, open back up our brain here. Again, this is all the same project, same program. This is the same program, but it allows us to edit all these markdown files, talk with agents, use plan mode, use Sonnet, use whatever model you want to use. You can even add your own separate API keys if that's your deal. Your tools and abilities are endless. Give yourself a new color theme, give yourself new fonts, practice using what you're already doing and Perplexity, ChatGPT, all of these other tools, bring them into your IDE, and start keeping all of those files local, right? Because if I have this file, I can pull it up in my Finder window. I can drop this into another conversation online. Having all of these things available to you on your computer is so important in 2026, especially. But yeah, everything is still here. You can open a chat. We have different functions over here. We can toggle the different panels a little bit easier. You can see this preview and markdown is the same. And it's being able to just work in Markdown for the past year has been a big game changer for me, and I really hope that more people are able to utilize it for themselves. You can even set up repeatable. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but I just want you to get used to just making your regular rhythms in your business in a file folder, in your IDE, with all your tools accessible to you. Because I think that gives you the most power of holding on to your creations and making sure that they stay yours. I don't want to be beholden to whether or not a lawsuit is going to go through in order to keep my data separate workspaces and things. You can put all that context in a folder in a couple. So here is what we did today. You learned about the 5 areas of the IDE: the activity bar, file explorer, editor, the terminal, the command palette. You changed your theme in VS Code. Wasn't that easy? That's all you had to do. It was pretty low pressure stakes here. You opened a folder, maybe. Maybe you looked at it like I was able to. And if you didn't, create one. Create a new folder. Create a brain for yourself. Look at my past. I'll put some links and resources for how to set that up. Now, you have Cursor installed. You recognize it as not a copy of a copy, but very similar to VS Code, with just added functionality. The reason this foundation matters, the reason why I wanted you to start in VS Code before Cursor, was not to confuse you, and I hope I really didn't. It was really just so you could see how the software really works and how Cursor is like this Chromium style build off of VS Code. So is every other AI editor that will come out after it. So if you're using Codex, if you're using, I believe, Claude Cowork and stuff, these are all built off of VS Code. So every other AI editor that will come out after it, and if you don't understand the baseline, you're never going to understand that from 0 point. And understanding that from 0 point can really just set you apart from the person next to you. So drop a comment. Did the VS Code first approach make Cursor make more sense? Had you tried Cursor before and felt confused? And did that reframe change anything? And if it didn't, but until next week, I am the Pythoness. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be here online. Come find me.